Dysfunction Files Special Report, Episode 36, The Hepatitis B Plot Twist When ACIP Accidentally Told the Truth. Well, good golly, Miss Molly, it finally happened, and I listened to these pompous, arrogant, industry-funded windbags so you didn't have to. The much-anticipated ACIP hearing, December 4th and 5th, on the hepatitis B vaccine birth dose. After 30 years of telling American parents your brand new baby absolutely needs a shot for a sexually transmitted virus in the first 24 hours of life, the government just said, maybe not. And not because of new data, not because of new evidence, not because of a sweeping new safety trial. Nope. They changed it because even broken institutions get embarrassed eventually, especially when the chaos is live streamed. Welcome back, friends and fellow survivors of modern medicine, to another episode of the Dysfunction Files. I'm Dr. Kristen Lindgren, functional medicine physician, recovering mainstream clinician, and your guide through the maze of things the government told you to do with your baby, but maybe didn't mean. This week, we're covering an ever-evolving breaking news bombshell. We're going deep inside the painful to listen to and even more painful to watch December 2025 ACIP hearing, where a group of government-appointed experts, several of whom were literally texting under the table, voted 8-2 to recommend against the universal birth dose of the hepatitis B vaccine. Yes, you heard that right. After 3 decades of insisting every newborn, including the 7-pound blueberry sleeping on your chest, needs a vaccine for a virus spread through blood, needles, and unprotected sex, the committee just said, yeah, okay, maybe only if the mom actually has hepatitis B. And even then, let's be honest, what the baby actually needs is HBIG, the immune globulin, not a rushed birth dose vaccine, which takes several weeks to kick in anyway. But whatever. Shocking. Groundbreaking. Almost like science? Let's get into it. A hearing only a bureaucrat could love. Picture this. A group of government-appointed experts sitting in a room that looks like the world's saddest TED Talk ever. This is ACIP, the powerful committee that decides every shot on every childhood schedule in America. Half of them are sipping lukewarm coffee, or whiskey, hard to tell. Someone is eating a muffin, like this isn't being nationally televised. An expert, calling in on Skype, keeps muting himself mid-sentence, then forgetting to unmute, despite being told multiple times, you can't make this up. And then there's the voting. But not just any voting. Voting on wording they were literally changing while people were talking. This hearing was so disjointed, so chaotic, so cringe. I know I'm dating myself, but that is the first time that word has ever been used appropriately. I'm serious. What in the actual hell did I just watch? Yet, despite the palm-to-forehead madness of confusion, grandstanding, and eye rolls, the committee voted. Some of the members were unclear as to what the meaning of the word vote was, but I'll wait to digress on that until later in this episode. And that vote overturned one of the longest-standing, most fiercely defended pediatric vaccine recommendations in U.S. history. But before we get into that, let's rewind. What the hepatitis B birth dose was supposed to do. Back in the early 1990s, the government said, let's vaccinate every newborn in America against hepatitis B. Why? Because at that time, we weren't screening every pregnant woman. Medical records were written in hieroglyphics. People faxed things. Don't we still fax things? Babies slipped through screening cracks. It was easier to give everyone a vaccine than to fix the healthcare system. And hey, it couldn't possibly hurt anyone, right? I mean, the hepatitis B vaccine trials followed infants for a staggering 5 days. That's actually not a joke. It's not satire. That's the actual follow-up period for the hepatitis B vaccine trial. If you're a parent listening to this and thinking, you are correct, but the birth dose got locked into policy, and once something is in the vaccine schedule, the only two ways it ever comes out are 1, if aliens land and demand it, or 2, if the ACIP accidentally reads the evidence. Friday was number 2.
As a father and as a scientist, I don't know how we have the courage, based on such slim evidence, to come to parents and tell them that that's okay to give to your 0-day baby, especially when the risk is so low.
The December 2025 ACIP meeting. Chaos on parade. Now we arrive at the hearing. I watched the whole thing, so you don't have to, and trust me, your brain cells should thank me. I lost many. This meeting was so badly run, it made an elementary school science fair look like the NASA launch team. Highlights included committee members openly saying they didn't know what they were voting on. Wait, what? Nobody joked. Nobody clarified. They just shrugged and abstained. One guy literally said, "I'll abstain because I don't actually understand what we're voting for." Bruh, were you asleep during the meeting yesterday? Confusion over the wording. There were multiple versions of the voting language, and they were editing it live, like frantic college kids rewriting a group essay an hour before it's due. No new evidence. None. Zero. Zilch.
Do we have any trial data of sufficient size to detect an AE that would occur at, let's say, 1 in 100?
Well, so we don't have any placebo-controlled randomized trials.
So we don't have any trial data that would allow us to reliably detect a adverse event that would occur at the rate of even 1 in 100.
Well, if we're comparing to other vaccines, that's the problem here. We really need a placebo-controlled randomized clinical trial.
You'd think a major reversal of a 30-year infant vaccine policy would come with at least one fresh study. You'd think so, but you'd be wrong. This was improv. Vote 1. When ACIP changed the words to change the world. They voted 8-3 to approve new wording. New wording that removes the phrase, quote, universal birth dose, and replaces it with, quote, shared clinical decision-making. Translation, we're not telling you to do it anymore, unless, you want to. But the plot twist came right after lunch. Vote 2, the 8-2 bombshell. While you were probably at work or doing something productive, the committee voted 8-2 in favor of no longer recommending the hepatitis B birth dose for babies whose mothers tested negative for hepatitis B. Translation, 30 years of every baby must have this shot just collapsed in 15 seconds. And here's the kicker. This wasn't based on new science. It was based on ACIP not being able to defend the old science. There's a lot of crickets today. What? It's winter in Wisconsin. The scaffolding finally gave way. This is like the FDA publicly announcing, you know that food pyramid we made you memorize for 40 years? Yeah, that base shouldn't be bread. Our bad. Why this happened. The real story. Here's the best part. No new data was presented. None. Zip. Zero. Not a single new study. Not even a pretend or proposed study. So why the sudden reversal? Because the political winds changed. Because the COVID vaccine memo scandal leak alleging more than a few children died is making the rounds. More on that when the FDA attempts to buff out that dent. Because people are asking questions they weren't supposed to ask. Because parents started reading the actual science, because the public's BS meter is now extremely calibrated. And ACIP could no longer justify a recommendation based on outdated logic, 1990s screen gaps, and a 5-day trial. 5 days, especially not with live stream cameras running. This is what happens when sunlight hits a dusty corner of medicine. The fallout is going to be delicious. Here's what comes next. First, hospitals will scramble. Their scripts have been the same for 30 years. Now they have to explain why the, quote, essential birth dose just, well, isn't. Second, pediatricians will split. Half will welcome the change. Half will panic and need medical attention themselves. If you're on Facebook, you know they already do and have been screaming like lunatics since last Friday. Parents will have questions. And ACIP hates questions.
For you to come here and make these absolutely outrageous statements about safety, I think it's a big disappointment to me, and I don't think you should have been invited. I will be completely honest.
I think the most egregious thing, if I may, is to call and reflect on folks who've been injured by these products as somehow rare and ill-defined. There are clear, serious risks. You just stop listening to parents. HRSA didn't give that long list of harms to the Institute of Medicine out of nowhere.
Fourth, other vaccines may be next. Hepatitis B was the sacrificial lamb, the weak link, the easy domino. What happens when parents start asking questions about, aluminum, combination vaccines, timing, risk stratification, actual individualized care? I propose to the court, the system is not ready. The bigger picture. This is bigger than hepatitis B. This is bigger than one vote. This is the first major crack in the, quote, everything on the schedule is sacred and unquestionable doctrine.
Why do we need the 1986 Act if vaccines are so safe too? Why does a product need immunity if it doesn't cause harm?
When a 30-year recommendation collapses, it makes people wonder, what else was never reevaluated? What evidence was never collected? What assumptions were never tested? What recommendations were built on convenience, not science? Here's the truth. The hepatitis B birth dose was always more about policy than biology. Today, the system finally said it out loud through gritted teeth, awkward votes, and very nervous smiles. For the parents listening, let me be clear. If you want the hepatitis B vaccine for your baby, you can still choose it. If you don't, and mom is hepatitis B negative, the new guidance supports you. This is what choice looks like. This is what informed consent looks like. This is what medicine is supposed to look like. And today, for one brief shining moment, ACIP actually did it. Maybe accidentally, but still. Closing. So, what does this mean for the rest of the childhood vaccines? Stay tuned, because if the universe loves anything, it's irony. That'll do it for me. I'm Dr. Kristen Lindgren, and thank you for tuning into what might be the last episode of the Dysfunction Files. Just kidding. I'm just reporting the news, folks. If you found this episode useful or entertaining, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a screaming comment, and share it all with a friend. We all have that friend who values informed consent and choice, don't we? Until next time, stay skeptical, keep watching the shit show, and know that someday, by the grace of God, we just may be in charge of our own healthcare. I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.